Hi, thank you for looking at this video. I'm going to try to keep it as short and to the point as possible. Thanks, again, thanks a lot for this. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to cover what we did in the topics for our decision making workshop that we did. The reason I did decision making was I thought this time of year, this time place in year, we started off in January and everything, and a lot of people just set these goals and everything, and now we're face up against what's really important to us and what we're going to put time in on and that kind of stuff. So I think making decisions for the rest of the year and taking a look at how to create this as an amazing year it'd be a good idea to understand decision making, at least from how I see it in my point of view, because I've worked with 40,000 people in my career and have made some great decisions in my life and some real horrible decisions in my life. And so I'm going to share that information with you. Now, I think most of us that are in a place of reason and logic, we just think think about how you make decisions. So you may weigh the positive and the negative, or the prices and benefits, and then you take a look at the best timing, and you take a look at the decision you need to make, and then you kind of weigh everything out, and then maybe you make a decision. And I think we use reason and logic to make decisions completely. But I think what's really important is that we take a look at our decision making process and how we decide things. And there's a lot of stuff going on that isn't just pure reason and logic when we make decisions. So I wanted to cover some of those things in this short video. First of all, I think that let me tell you a story here first. So let's start with this story. So one of the things I did, and one of the things that Brian Clemmer always used to tell me, who was my business partner and a friend and a mentor, used to say that if you don't set any goals, you can be sure that you're not going to accomplish anything, and that's pretty much the goal you've set. So I set a goal one time. I always wanted to own a Porsche because I went to the races with my father, the car races, and he was an amateur sports car racer, and I always loved Porsche cars. So I thought, okay, this would be a goal that I would like to have, and so I got myself into a place where I could have that, and so I set a goal. I did all this research. I have an analytical side to me. And I finally decided on the car that I wanted, and I bought this Porsche. And it was just an amazing and great car. And I live about 30 miles outside of town. I live on the ocean in north of San Francisco. So it takes me a while to get into town. And so there's a beautiful, beautiful kind of country road that goes into town with no traffic on it, basically. And so I love to take that Porsche out, and I love to work it out on that road. And when I say work it out, I mean, push the car to the limits and have a great time with it and all that kind of stuff. And one time I was driving that car into town, and I came over a place where there was a great straightaway to get some good speed going. And so I got my speed up, and then I looked ahead, and I saw a dot up ahead beside the road. And I realized that dot was a car pulled over, and that was a highway patrol. So what was it that I did immediately when I was driving so fast? What was the first thing I did? Well, as probably you would do, and you can imagine, I slowed the car down to the speed limit. And so I did that because I made a decision, and the decision I made was from a place of compliance. Now, compliance-based decisions are based on the fact that you don't want something negative to happen, right? So you don't want the something to occur that's going to take you off track. You're working in a defensive way when you're working with compliance. So there's amazing amount of things that we make decisions about that we want to be in compliance with stuff. So we're in the rules. We're doing what mom and dad said, or we're doing what society says, or just basically kind of keeping within the rules. And we might not, I didn't want to slow down, and there might be times where you don't want to be compliant, but the idea of not being non-compliant, the price may be high. So I think that some of us make decisions based in compliance, and based in not rocking the boat, and based in keeping everything even. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And the matter of fact, as in anything we do in transformational leadership or transformational work, um, you know that we're not working with good or bad or anything like that. What we're working with is really effective or ineffective. So the idea of operating from compliance is not a bad thing or is not a good thing, but the question that you want to ask yourself, is it an effective, is the decisions I'm making right now, are they effective in actually moving me forward in my life in the areas that I want to move forward in? And the other side of that coin is decisions based in commitment. Now, as I said, there's nothing wrong with compliance-based decisions. We make hundreds of them every day. But decisions made in commitment are taking a look at moving us forward. So, for instance, the area of, let's say you were making a decision right now, or in this next couple of days, on your health, that you're going to do something with your exercise and your health, or you're making a decision on your relationship. You want your relationship to be deeper and more intimate. You want to change your relationships. You want to do something. You want to create more friends. Those are decisions. Or your career. You make a decision around your career, or you make a decision around doing some adventure or going somewhere, or doing something, a bucket list, something that you always wanted to do, or cleaning your house, cleaning out all the chaos in the house, or something like that. Anyway, decisions based in what your goals are or what you want to do, or these decisions that are based in moving yourself forward, are really important decisions. I know people who live mostly or of 75% of their life in compliance, and that's fine, except there's missing the part of really improving and going into something that you're not good at, or going into something you're not sure about the outcome, and which creates you as better at making decisions. There is plenty of scientific research that shows that when you give people more choices and give them more decisions, they become better decision makers. And so there's some science around that. So the idea that you kind of are putting yourself on the edge with a decision or doing something you're not sure that you're going to follow through on, you're not sure that you're going to do, you make a declaration, which is a decision that you're going to follow, that you're going to do this thing. You're coming from a place of commitment. So that's number one. You always want to know compliance or commitment. Am I committed to this? Am I committed to following through on this? Am I committed to having this happen? And research also shows that you have to really, to stay with something, stay with a commitment, you have to have a positive picture in mind for the outcome of that commitment. In other words, people that go into the operating room, well documented, let's say to have a serious operation like a heart bypass, those people that have something to look forward to, or have a dream or an idea when they feel better as a result of this operation, that they're going to do, walk around Paris, get on the floor with their grandkids, take walks, or be able to just feel better and golf or whatever. If you have something in mind that's positive, an impending event, then the results show in the science that you're going to recover faster. So that's compliance and commitment. The next thing is decisions made on how you appear to other people, and how your decisions are going to affect your place in with your group, your tribe, your company, and based in how you're going to look. And I think a lot of people make decisions on how they're going to look to others. In actuality, I think people don't make decisions because they're afraid of how they look to others. And so if you're making a decision, you can weigh that, and that may be important. It probably is important to all of us because we want to belong. But the thing is you want to look at the other side too. Do you want to make a decision that moves you forward that you're not going to be very good at the beginning? So let's say you're going to learn Spanish. I'm learning Spanish online with Duolingo, so I'm 2 years into this thing. And I go out and I try to speak Spanish as much as I can. and I'm really bad at it. But I have to be willing to tolerate the experience of being not great at it, and tolerate the experience of kind of making mistakes and stuff like that. So if you're a person who wants to move forward, there's the part of the decision making that you know that you're not going to be good at it to start with, or that it's going to take willpower to start with, or you have to set up your life in a different way. As a matter of fact, when you make major decisions, it also includes all the people around you, and it includes letting them know what you're doing. So there's a lifestyle change, so people aren't kind of surprised by the fact that now you're going to the gym 3 times a week, or now that you're reading, you're taking a class at night, or something like that. They're not blindsided by the whole thing. Okay, so that's a consideration as well. So now one of the things that we want to look at, and this is the third one, so I'll sort of start to wrap it up here. But there's an exercise we do in some of our classes. It's called reasonable and unreasonable. And so what we talk about is those two words and the association that we have with other words without, and the experience of those two words. What do we experience when we talk about those two words, reasonable and unreasonable? So, in the realm of transformation and what we're talking about here, there's an energy. Words have an energy around them, or bring up other words or other ideas in our minds or other pictures in our minds when they're said. So, reasonable. A lot of times we start talking about reasonable, and the words that come up for people are cautious, careful, tentative, scared, nervous, analyzing, passive, and defensive. So those might seem like a little bit negative words, but there's many others that you could add to reasonable. But I want you to just take a look at some of those words that come up very often for most people, that being unreasonable has some negative consequences or ideas, or it keeps us kind of in one place, being reasonable. Now, being unreasonable has bold, daring, powerful, courageous, enthusiastic, and passionate often associated with it. I'm just saying this because being reasonable all the time and making all decisions from reason can keep us safe and keep us comfortable and keep us in one place. But I think there are times when the most fun thing, the most intuitive thing, is to make unreasonable decisions. And if I look at my life, the most unreasonable decisions I've made, or at least the decisions with the least amount of evidence, because the old joke is all great decisions are made with insufficient data. So you can look at unreasonable decisions as something that maybe, because you feel that way, maybe leading you towards something. So I have a scientific background, so I'm going back to the very beginning. I'm a guy that, like, you weigh the prices, benefits, and stuff, but also look at making some unreasonable decisions for yourself is not a bad idea. I don't mean stupid stuff or things that can hurt you, but what I'm talking about here is things that get you out of your comfort area, get you out of what you normally know. So those are only 3 things. We can cover a lot of other stuff, but take a look at, are you operating from compliance or commitment? Excuse me. How are you going to look to others? Does that have a major effect on all your decisions? And if it does, maybe you could back that down a couple notches and take a look at what works for you. And the third thing is sometimes just using your intuition and making unreasonable decisions will lead you into really, really great place. So take a look at how you're making your decisions. You can be a great decision maker. Again, my friend Brian Clemmer used to say that you only have to make 51% of your decisions right in your life, and it's going to be awesome. So don't be afraid of mistakes. One of the sports that I really love and I practice is golf. And one of the things you notice about golf is there's no perfect shot. So you're always it's always an error. And so, but the great thing about golf is you can always correct a bad shot with a good shot later if you can pull off a good shot. So for any decision you make, you can look at your track record for making decisions, and if you're listening to this video, you're alive and here, so you have 100% track record. So the bad decisions, all of the ones we made, good decisions, all the ones we made, got us here, at least talking together on this video, and that's sort of 100% survival rate so far. Anyway, thank you guys, and make some great decisions. Don't be afraid to get out there and do that. It inspires other people, by the way, because that's what we're about in transformational work, is making sure that we're out there inspiring and moving other people. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again in another workshop.